A pleasant welcome to all my dear 5th standard children. Today we are going to see the remaining part of your water, right. Now, in the previous part you have learnt about the methods that is used to remove the insoluble impurities, right. Yes. Today we are going to see how to remove the soluble impurities. For example, when you take a glass of water and you mix, take a 1 teaspoon of sugar or salt and you mix with the water, and now how you can separate this dissolved sugar or dissolved salt from the water. So, there are some methods thereby we can remove the soluble impurities from the water, right. Now, what are the methods? The first one is boiling. So, whatever the soluble impurities has dissolved in the water, take that water and you boil the water. So, once you boil the water, so the water everything is, the soluble impurities will be settled at the bottom of the water and leaving only the water vapor on the top, right. So, boiling is a method where it is used to remove the soluble impurities. What is the next step? See, here you can see which is known as distillation. So, distillation is a process where we can easily remove the pure water from the soluble impurities, right. So, for this you need a laboratory test like, so here you need a round bottom flask. So, take the impure water, that is soluble impurities that are dissolved in that water, take that water in a round bottom flask and close the round bottom flask with a cork, right. So, here one pipe has to be extended. Here we do have a condenser which is attached to it, right. So, after that we have to collect that, at the end of that tube we should keep a conical flask, right. So, here we have to heat the impure water. So, the water is which is kept in the round bottom flask should be heated, right. So, once the water boils, so from the water, the impure water, the water is evaporated, right. So, the water vapor goes through this pipe, goes through this tube, and thereby here we have kept the condenser where the ice cubes are rotating through that tube, right. So, once the water vapor goes through this tube, so water vapor becomes cool and thereby it is, the water vapor is converted into water after cooling, right. So, once the water vapor goes through this tube, the water vapor changes into water and thereby the water is collected in a conical flask. So, the water which is collected here will be pure, which is known as distilled water, right. So, this process is known as distillation. Distillation. Okay. So, this distilled water is only used in laboratories as well as for car batteries or for inverters. So, they use the water, right. So, that water is known as distilled water. So, distilled water is the purest form of water, right. So, in this way we can easily remove the soluble impurities and the water through this method, right. Okay. So, now let us see what are the evaporation. So, evaporation is also a method where we can easily remove the water from the soluble impurities, right. So, next thing we are going to see how we can use the water. So, water can also be used to remove the germs, right. So, we cannot as it is use that water. So, after the evaporation or after the all this process, after the filtration, we cannot as it is use that water for drinking, right. So, it may, the water also may have germs or any microorganisms, right. So, what we do? We will boil the water, right, and we will drink, right. So, boiling is also a method, it is also a step that is used to make the water for usage, right. Next thing is chlorination. What is chlorination? Chlorination is nothing but adding chlorine to the water, thereby it will remove the germs, it will kill the germs present in the water, right. So, that is known as chlorination. So, chlorination is nothing but adding the chlorine chemicals into the water, thereby the chlorine will kill the germs present in the water. So, that water can be utilized by us for drinking. Okay. The next one is filtration. So, filtration nowadays many people are using for using this filtration RO process, right. So, water can also be filtered and thereby with the help of the filtration the germs everything is removed from the water, and this water is utilized by the human beings for usage. Okay. So, these are the steps that is used to remove the soluble impurities, and also these are the methods that are used to make the water pure for drinking as well as for other usages by the humans, right. So, in this session you have learnt about what is methods that is used to remove the soluble impurities. So, what is impurities? So, impurities are the substances that make the water unfit for use, that are known as impurities, right. Okay. And you also learnt about what is distillation. So, what are the processes that is done to remove the soluble impurities? One is distillation, the next one evaporation, and boiling. So, these are the methods that is used to remove the soluble impurities, right. Okay. So, almost in this session you learned how the soluble impurities can be removed, what are the methods that are used to remove the soluble impurities, right. So, go through the lesson, and with this your lesson is almost completed. Go through the book back exercise, try to answer all the book back exercise without seeing the study material. So, once you see the study material, just compare your selection of answers with the study material, so that you will come to know how much you have understood about the concept of this lesson. So, thank you for watching. Have a good day.